My girlfriend demanded I apologize to her male best friend for hurting his feelings. I agreed. I went to his house and said in front of his wife, "I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I didn't tell my girlfriend about the affair you had last summer. I should have never kept that secret for you." My girlfriend, Kate, has a best friend named Simon. Their relationship is the stuff of legends. A two-person fan club where they are the sole members and the only topic of discussion is their own shared magnificence. Simon is married to a lovely, quiet woman named Clara, who always seems to be observing their dynamic with the weary resignation of a zookeeper watching two monkeys fling insults at each other and call it bonding. I've always been the third wheel in my own relationship. Simon's opinion is sought on every decision, from the brand of coffee we buy to the destination of our vacations. He has a key to our apartment, a privilege Kate insisted on for emergencies, and has a habit of walking in unannounced. He's arrogant, condescending, and possesses a unique talent for phrasing insults as friendly advice. Kate, in turn, defends his every transgression with a breathless admiration that is both baffling and deeply irritating. Last summer, I became the keeper of a secret that changed the entire dynamic of this little triangle. Kate had forced me to go out for a boys' night with Simon, an excruciating experience I was meant to enjoy. After several expensive cocktails that I paid for, Simon, in a moment of drunken, arrogant confession, told me he was having an affair. He laughed about it, bragging about the thrill of the deception. He saw me as a harmless, simple guy, Kate's quiet, stable boyfriend, a living piece of furniture to whom he could confess his sins without consequence. The next morning, a panicked, hungover Simon called me, begging me to forget everything he'd said. He made me promise not to tell a soul, especially not Kate or his wife. I agreed. It wasn't my place to detonate his life. But I am a man who believes in the principle of mutually assured destruction. I didn't see the information as a burden. I saw it as a key, saved for a door I hoped I would never have to unlock. The door presented itself last Tuesday. I had committed a cardinal sin. I had hurt Simon's feelings. The crime? I had politely asked him to please text before using his key to enter our apartment, as he had walked in on me in a towel the day before. The fallout was biblical. Kate accused me of being a jealous, insecure man who was trying to sabotage her most important friendship. Simon played the part of the wounded artist, telling her he felt unwelcome and judged in our home. This culminated in a dramatic, tearful confrontation last night. Kate and Simon, the united front of manufactured victimhood, sat me down for an intervention. "You owe him an apology, Mark," Kate said, her arms crossed. "A real, sincere apology. You made him feel like an intruder in his own best friend's life." I just looked at them. The sheer theatrical absurdity of it all was almost beautiful. "Fine," I said, my voice a mask of weary resignation. But a simple, "I'm sorry" was not enough. Kate wanted a grand gesture of submission. "No, not here," she insisted. "You need to go to his house. You need to apologize to him in his own home, in front of his wife, so Clara knows that you understand and respect the bond that we all share." She wanted an audience. She wanted me to be humiliated in front of another woman, to solidify my status as the beta in their little pack. A slow, dangerous smile spread across my face. It was the most perfect, most beautifully ironic trap anyone had ever laid for me. She had just handed me the key, the audience, and the stage. "Okay," I said, my voice full of a fake, defeated sincerity. "I agree. I'll go to his house and apologize. It's the right thing to do." Kate's face flooded with triumphant relief. Simon smirked, victorious. They thought they were about to witness my surrender. They had no idea they were about to be the star witnesses at a public execution. Update 1. The apology was scheduled for Saturday evening. Kate spent the 2 days leading up to it, coaching me on what to say. It was a masterclass in self-absorbed nonsense. I was to acknowledge my insecurity, praise Simon's unwavering support for our relationship, and promise to be more open and trusting in the future. I just nodded along, absorbing my lines like a method actor preparing for a role. On Saturday, I made one crucial phone call before we left. I called Clara, Simon's wife. "Hi, Clara, it's Mark," I said, my voice full of a friendly, manufactured warmth. "Just wanted to confirm we're still good to pop by around 7. I really want to clear the air with Simon and make sure we're all on the same page. It's so important to me that we're all one big, happy family." Clara, a genuinely kind person, sounded pleased. Of course, Mark, we'll see you then. My audience was now confirmed. We arrived at their house at 7 o'clock sharp. Kate was practically vibrating with smug satisfaction. She was about to see me humbled. Simon opened the door, his expression one of magnanimous forgiveness. He was ready to graciously accept my groveling. Clara welcomed us in, offering us drinks, completely oblivious to the drama she was about to be a part of. We all sat down in their living room. The atmosphere was thick with a tense, expectant silence. Kate looked at me and gave me a sharp, commanding nod. It was time for the performance to begin. I stood up and faced Simon. I took a deep, theatrical breath. Simon, I began, my voice full of a carefully crafted sincerity. We're here because I owe you an apology. I have been selfish, and I have not been a good friend to you. Kate was beaming. Simon was puffing out his chest. This was even better than they had imagined. You have been a constant presence in our lives. I continued, turning to include Clara in my audience. And I have not always appreciated the closeness of your bond with Kate. For that, I am truly sorry. I walked to the center of the room, right in front of the fireplace. And then, I did it. I got down on one knee. Kate gasped, a little thrill of victory running through her. This was the ultimate submission. I looked up, not at Simon, but at his wife. I looked directly into Clara's kind, unsuspecting eyes. Clara, I said, my voice now ringing with a clear, powerful sincerity. My real apology is to you, because the biggest secret I have kept, the biggest wrong I have committed, was against you. Clara's smile faltered, replaced by a look of utter confusion. Simon's face went rigid. Kate looked like she had just been slapped. I'm so sorry, Clara, I said, my voice full of a sudden, raw emotion. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the affair Simon had last summer with the woman from his marketing department. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the hotel rooms he paid for in cash, or the secret email account he bragged to me about. He told me everything, one night when he was drunk, and he made me promise to keep his secret. And I did. I should have never kept that secret for you. That was my failure as a friend, and I am begging for your forgiveness. The silence that followed was the most profound, most absolute silence I have ever experienced. It was the sound of a bomb detonating in a soundproof room. Clara just stared at me, her face a blank canvas of shock. Then slowly, she turned her head and looked at her husband. Simon was the color of chalk, his eyes wide with a primal terror. Kate was the first to break. What are you doing? She shrieked, jumping to her feet. He's lying. He's making this up to get back at me. I didn't even look at her. I remained on one knee, my eyes locked on Clara. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. I brought up a single screenshot and held it out for Clara to see. It was from the night of Simon's drunken confession. After he had called me the next morning, begging me to keep his secret, I had sent him a single text to create a digital record. The text said, I won't say anything about what you told me about your affair. But you owe me one. His reply was simple and damning. Thank you, man. I swear it's over. Don't ever mention it again. Clara looked at the screenshot. She looked at her husband's name on the screen. And in that moment, she knew it was the truth. I stood up. I looked at the wreckage I had created. Kate was screaming at me. Simon was stammering, trying to form a denial that he knew would never work. And Clara just sat there, a single silent tear rolling down her cheek. My apology is delivered, I said quietly. Then I turned, walked out of the house, and closed the door on the explosion. Update 2. The immediate aftermath of my apology was a chaotic multi-front war waged entirely over text messages and voicemails. I drove home, blocked Kate's and Simon's numbers preemptively, and settled in to watch the fallout from a safe distance. The first wave came from Kate's friends, the ones she had undoubtedly called hysterical from Simon's driveway. The texts were a predictable mix of outrage and confusion. What you did was sick, Mark. Why would you lie like that? I replied to each one with the same, simple, devastating message, the screenshot of my text exchange with Simon. I added no commentary. I just sent the image. The angry text stopped immediately, replaced by a deafening silence. The truth, it seems, is a very effective conversation ender. The second wave came from Kate herself, via a series of frantic emails. The tone shifted with each message, moving through the 5 stages of grief for her relationship. First, denial. You are a manipulative liar and I will never forgive you for making up such a horrible story. Then anger. I hope you're happy. You've ruined everything. Then bargaining. If you just admit you are lying, maybe we can fix this. Then depression. I can't believe this is happening. And finally, a strange, twisted form of acceptance. Okay, fine. Maybe Simon made a mistake, but you didn't have to blow up his life to get back at me. I didn't reply to any of them. The real story, the one that mattered, came from an unexpected source. 2 days after the incident, I received an email from Clara, Simon's wife. It was short, but it told me everything I needed to know. Mark, it began. I don't know whether to thank you or to hate you, but you told me the truth, and that's more than my own husband has done in a year. I found the secret credit card statements. It was all true. He's not living here anymore. I've contacted a lawyer. I just wanted you to know that, and I'm sorry for what Kate and Simon put you through. You deserve better. That email was my vindication. I hadn't just gotten revenge. I had performed a necessary, albeit brutal, act of truth-telling. With the moral high ground firmly established, it was time to deal with the logistical fallout. Kate was still living in my apartment. I had my lawyer draft a formal eviction notice, giving her the legally required 30 days to vacate the premises. She had no legal standing. The lease was solely in my name, but I wanted the process to be clean and official. She responded by trying to turn the apartment into a war zone. She would play loud music at all hours. She would leave passive-aggressive notes on the counter. It was childish and pathetic. I simply ignored it. I started staying at a friend's house, leaving her to stew in the toxic environment she had created. Her final, desperate move was to try and steal from me. The day before she was due to move out, I came by the apartment with a friend to make sure she was packing. I found her trying to load my expensive television and sound system into her car. I didn't yell. I just stood there, my arms crossed, and said, "That's not yours, Kate." "I paid for half of it," she shrieked. "No, you didn't," I said calmly. "I have the credit card statement that shows I paid for it in full. Put it back, or I will call the police and show them the receipt, and we can add attempted theft to the list of your recent accomplishments." Defeated, she put the television back. The next day, she was gone. I walked into my apartment, and for the first time in years, it was quiet. It was peaceful. It was mine. Final update. It has been 6 months since I got on one knee and apologized. The dust has completely settled, and the new landscape of my life is better than I could have ever imagined. The consequences for Kate and Simon, however, have been total and irreversible. Let's start with Simon. His life is a smoldering ruin. Clara, armed with the knowledge of his affair and the proof of his financial deception, the secret credit card, was ruthless in the divorce. She got the house, a significant portion of his assets, and primary custody of their dog. Simon is now living in a small, rented condo, paying alimony, and is, by all accounts, miserable. His reputation in their social circle is destroyed. He is no longer the witty, charming center of attention. He is the disgraced cheater who got publicly exposed. Now for Kate. Her life has been a slow, painful collapse. After being forced to move out of my apartment, she tried to lean on her best friend Simon for support. But Simon, embroiled in his own catastrophic divorce, had no time or energy for her drama. Their legendary friendship, which was built on a foundation of mutual admiration and a shared contempt for me, did not survive the harsh light of reality. They reportedly had a massive falling out, each blaming the other for the destruction of their lives. With no fiancé, no best friend, and no home, Kate was forced to move back in with her parents. Her attempts to spin the story and paint me as the villain failed spectacularly. The screenshot of Simon's text was undeniable proof that I hadn't lied. She was exposed as a woman who had not only enabled her best friend's affair, but had demanded I apologize for challenging his disrespect. She lost all credibility. The last I heard, she is still living with her parents, working a low-level marketing job, her glamorous city life a distant memory. She tried to get revenge on me for a perceived slight, and in doing so, she lost everything. As for me, I am thriving. The first thing I did after reclaiming my apartment was to change the locks. It was a symbolic act. I was securing my space, creating a boundary that would never be violated again. I've been focusing on my work, and the peace and quiet in my personal life has allowed me to be more creative and productive than ever. I also reconnected with Clara. A few months after the incident, she reached out to thank me again. We met for coffee, just as friends. We had something profound in common. We had both been betrayed by the same two people. We talked for hours. It was easy and honest. That coffee turned into dinner a week later, and that dinner has turned into something more. It's new, it's tentative, but it's real. It's built on a foundation of shared experience and brutal honesty. We both know what it's like to be lied to, and we have no interest in ever doing it to each other. Kate demanded I get on my knees and beg. She wanted a spectacle of my submission. She got her spectacle, but it was one of her own public humiliation. She thought she was the director of the play, but she never realized I was the one who had written the final act. She wanted me to apologize for hurting her best friend's feelings. Instead, I apologized for keeping his secrets, and in doing so, I set two people free. Clara and myself.